People always think the worst sound you'll ever hear in your own house is glass breaking at 2 in the morning or someone pounding on the door. Personally, I nominate the sound of your husband howling upstairs because he just realized his career is slipping through his fingers before breakfast. That was this morning. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I was in the kitchen, making coffee like it was any other weekday, wearing Ethan's old college hoodie because I'd already claimed it in my head, and watching the neighbor across the street power wash his driveway like a man who thinks property value comes from water pressure. The sun wasn't even fully up yet. The street still looked perfect, the way our HOA brochure likes to show it. Hydrangeas fluffed up in those big planned mounds, porch lights timed to fade at 6:45 a.m., trash cans pulled back behind fences so we can all pretend we don't create trash. Then came the scream. From upstairs, Ethan's office. Not a little startled sound, not, "Oh no, where's my wallet?" No. This was full, uncontrolled, animal panic ripping through drywall and straight down the stairwell. I felt it in the cabinet door under my hand. The mug I was holding tapped against the counter. The neighbor with the pressure washer actually paused and looked over at our place, which, honestly, was satisfying. I didn't rush up there. I stirred cream into my coffee. I looked at my own note again, the one I had left on Ethan's nightstand 20 minutes earlier before he woke up and stumbled toward his email like usual. I had a copy on my phone because I like records. I'm an event planner for a living. Records are my love language. Your harmless flirting just cost you your job and your marriage. Jay upstairs, another yell. A thud, like a chair going back too fast. Then, Julia, Julia. I took one calm sip. When the second yell turned into this raw, panicked string of half words, I thought, there it is. There's the real Ethan Ward, 37, financial consultant, neighbor grill champion, charisma on legs. There's the guy none of them ever got to see. That, by the way, includes Linda. Linda is his sister, and also the self-appointed queen of moral superiority on Brookfield Court. She's the woman who brings gluten-free brownies to block parties and then loudly mentions, "I made them from scratch, it's not that hard," while looking straight at me. If you ask Linda why she never had kids, she'll tell you she's too focused on growth, and she says it in a tone that makes motherhood sound like falling asleep at the wheel of your own life. She has that way about her. She also thinks I should be grateful for Ethan. We'll get to Linda. Believe me, we will. But first, we're going back 2 weeks, because that's how long this took. People always act like marriages implode in one night. That's cute. Marriages don't shatter in one night. They erode in inches while you're unloading groceries and folding towels. 2 weeks ago, if you had driven down our street, you would have thought we were fine. Better than fine. Ethan had just reseeded the front lawn for the 3rd time because the HUA standards are slipping, Jules, and somebody has to model excellence. He said model excellence like he was running for office, which, knowing him, he probably will once he thinks the dust has settled. The pansies and the flower boxes were rotated out on schedule. Our porch swing had fresh cushions from some catalogue Ethan pretends he doesn't read, even though we get it addressed to him. Claire from 2 houses over had her usual power walk that Monday morning, calibrated to look casual but timed exactly for the school bus so she could wave to the other parents and log social points before 9 a.m. "Hey, Julia," she called, all bright teeth. "Self-care day? You look so relaxed." Translated, I was still in workout leggings and an oversized tee at 8:15, hair up, no mascara. Around here, that gets you a wellness check. "I'm good," I said, "just reviewing seating charts." She made a sympathetic face. "Ugh, seating politics. I don't know how you do that. I'd lose my mind." I smiled and thought, You do seating politics every time you host a wine night and pretend you didn't put Jennifer next to Daniel on purpose. But okay. Out loud, I said, occupational hazard. That's my job. I'm an event planner. Corporate galas, charity dinners, board appreciation nights, hospital fundraising socials. You know those evenings where there are floating candles in glass cylinders and a local jazz trio in the corner, and everyone keeps asking for a vegetarian option, but not like pasta? That's me. I'm the person who stands near the kitchen door with a clipboard and a headset and a smile you can't poke holes in, and I make sure the CEO's mic works and the donor's wine never drops below half a glass. I am good at it. I say that without apology now. I am good at what I do. Back then, I said it in a softer way, like a question. That's one of the things I hate most when I look back. Anyway, 2 weeks ago, I was building out the final program for St. Michael's Children's Outreach Gala, the kind of long name that looks great on step and repeat banners. We hold it at the Hartford Country Club every spring. It's the event everyone wants their face photographed at because it ends up in the local magazine with headlines like Hope for Tomorrow. People love to stand under chandeliers and feel righteous. I love invoices being paid on time. We all have our thing. Ethan was already on his third client dinner that week. Networking, he said, buttoning a navy jacket I had never seen before. We've got a guy thinking about pulling his assets from Hartford Mutual, and I want to be in the room when that happens. This could be big. I looked up from my laptop. Since when do you care about what you're wearing to a weekday dinner at Grill 86? He smoothed a hand over his jaw like an ad for aftershave. Presentation matters. It didn't matter last month, I said. He flashed me that grin that always worked in this neighborhood. Ethan has a safe grin. It's boyish in a controlled way. PTA moms love it. HOA board members love it. Cops doing neighborhood patrols love it. You know the type. Jules, he said, amused, leaning down like we were sharing a joke. Are you jealous? I didn't answer right away, which was mistake one. My pause gave him confidence. He kissed the top of my head. Don't worry, you're the only one who sees the real me. That line would have been sweet if I hadn't just watched him put on cologne to go talk client strategy. Ethan wears cologne for 2 occasions, sales meetings and attention. I said. He left. And then, because I am not an amateur, I checked our online banking. Logistics note, we have a joint checking account for groceries, utilities, house stuff, all the charming trappings of 2 adults merging lives. Ethan also has his personal brokerage accounts. I have my business account. I don't touch those. I'm not reckless, and I'm not interested in jail orange. But the joint card, that's ours. So when I saw a line item for Vintera Wine Bar at 10:42 p.m. 2 nights earlier, followed by a rideshare charge across town at 12:13 a.m., I took a screenshot. I labeled it Florist Prices and put it in a folder. Ethan never opens anything labeled Florist Prices. He thinks floral design is girl math. Still, screenshots don't prove anything except location and spending. I'm a planner. I like confirmation. I like witnesses. I didn't have to wait long. 2 days later, I was in the kitchen trying to schedule a last-minute lighting test. One of my uplight towers had shorted at rehearsal, and I was chasing the rental guy to get me a replacement before Saturday. I didn't have my phone within reach. Ethan had been at the patio table earlier, placing an order for a new outdoor heater. He likes al fresco bourbon nights, which is married man talk for sitting outside while scrolling stocks and pretending it's rustic. His phone was still there, face down. I picked it up. I know. You're going to say, Julia, that's snooping. That's an invasion. That's crossing a line. Here's what I'll say back. If you don't want your spouse to see it, don't do it while you're married. Also, I wasn't looking for romance trash. I was literally trying to confirm if the delivery guy needed someone home to sign for a box the size of a grill. That's when the banner lit up. Emily Hart. Hope your wife never notices how you blush when I brush your hand. See you tonight. I froze, thumb hovering an inch above the screen. Not great meeting today. Not bring those spreadsheets. Not can you send me the quarterly data. You'll notice I am not saying the actual word she used to describe what she was doing with his hand, because I'm following my own rating system here. But we both get the picture. And see you tonight, not see you tomorrow in the office. See you tonight. My first feeling wasn't heartbreak. Isn't that interesting? It was clarity, like someone wiped a foggy mirror clean and there it all was, lined up, color-coded. The cologne, the new jacket, the late dinners, the sudden gym membership he swore was for stress. The way he'd started dismissing me with a laugh whenever I asked about his schedule. Oh, Jules, don't overthink. She's just being friendly. Friendly. Ethan walked in right then, perfect timing, like a sitcom cue. Hey, did they call about the heater thing? I lifted his phone, screen still glowing with Emily Hart's message. His face did this little flicker. Not guilt, not right away. Irritation. The kind of irritation you feel when your assistant mixes up coffee orders. That hurt more than anything. Wow, he said, aiming for casual. Okay, so that's... You're really going to snoop now. I was confirming delivery windows, I said. My voice sounded even, considering. This popped up. He reached for the phone, quick. That speed told me more than the message did. Emily's just like that, he said, and he actually laughed. You know how some people are flirty and it means literally nothing? She's like that. She's just being friendly. Don't overthink. Don't overthink. He said it like I was a child pressing my face against a window and making up stories about clouds. I said, handing him the phone. Totally harmless. His shoulders loosened. He thought that was it. He kissed my cheek. You're cute when you pretend to be mad. Here's the thing he didn't know. I wasn't pretending. I just wasn't performing. That night, while he was in the shower and humming to himself like life was a cologne commercial, I sat cross-legged on our bed with his phone and forwarded every single message between him and Emily to myself. I didn't guess his passcode. I didn't have to. I already knew it. I've known his passcode longer than I've known the HOA entry gate code. We're married. You pick up these things. He wasn't hiding from me because he assumed I'd never look. I forwarded all of it. Weeks of messages, little office jokes. Can't wait to see you tonight. You looked good today in that grey shirt, by the way. I miss your blush when we're alone. And then my favourite, because I am petty and I admit it. Hope your wife never notices how you blush when I brush your hand. The same tone every time. You're mine in secret, and isn't she silly? I sat there and read everything. My hands didn't shake. My stomach didn't twist. I wasn't crying. I know you probably wanted me sobbing into the comforter, mascara everywhere. I've seen those scenes too. That wasn't me. I was studying. I was studying how Emily spoke to him, how he spoke back. I was studying the timestamps, the length of gaps. When he said he was running late with a client, he was with her. When he said, we're going over numbers, they were at Vintera Wine Bar, and I know that because I cross-referenced the charges on our joint card. When he told me, I'll be home by 11, don't wait up, he sent her a message at 10:48 that said, don't worry, she's cool, she gets it. She's cool. He had turned me into a character in their little fantasy. The chill wife who gets it, who packs school lunches and picks up dry cleaning, and nods nicely at country club mixers while her husband glows at another woman. I wasn't a person to them. I was set dressing. So I did what I do best. I made a plan. The next morning, I took those forwarded messages, stripped our names off, and built a neat little PDF. I wrote a 3-paragraph summary in neutral language. Hello, I am contacting you regarding possible misconduct between Ethan Ward and Emily Hart. Mr. Ward is in a senior position relative to Ms. Hart on multiple client accounts. The attached screenshots suggest a personal relationship that may be impacting workplace boundaries and may expose the firm to risk. I did not send it from home. I printed it at a FedEx office. I made a brand new email from a random name that nobody would connect to me. I sent it to Ethan's HR and CC'd compliance. If you work in finance, you know there is always a compliance. Then I went to work on the gala. If you've never run a charity gala, let me explain the vibe. Picture a ballroom big enough to land a helicopter in, but every surface has to look soft and effortless. Picture six-figure donors who want the stage lighting to make them look healthy but not shiny. Picture a head of hospital outreach who told me, "I'm trusting you, Julia. You always pull this off," in that voice people use right before they toss you into a pit and ask for a smile. That night, Ethan showed up to support me. Isn't that sweet? His words, not mine. "I'll swing by to support you after my client meeting," he texted. The client meeting being, of course, Emily. And then Emily showed up too. I saw her before he did. I clock everyone who walks in one of my rooms. She came in wearing black with a soft gold jacket, hair smooth, makeup in that glossy natural style that says, "I woke up like this with professional help." Ethan arrived 15 minutes later in a black jacket with a gold-toned tie. The match was almost funny. They didn't walk in together. They're not total fools. She drifted toward the silent auction table. He headed for the bar. But when they saw each other across the hydrangea tower I had personally approved, they both lit up in a way I hadn't seen from Ethan in months. I was holding a tablet and pretending to check the run of show. Really, I was taking photos, not sneaky shots from across the room like a spy movie. Just a couple of clean, well-framed angles that showed Ethan and Emily leaning too close behind my fundraiser floral display, laughing like they shared a secret, his hand hovering low on her back in a way you only do when you've already crossed a line. He should have saved that move for a place without a professional event planner who knows lighting. At one point, Emily actually reached up and adjusted his tie, fingertips smoothing the knot, smiling up at him. It was such a practiced gesture. I almost applauded. He saw me watching then. For a second, his face flickered again, that same irritation. Then he pasted on the concerned husband mask and came over. "Jules," he said warmly, like we were on stage. "You okay? You look stressed. You need water." Translation: "Please do not create a scene in front of money." I smiled up at him. "I'm perfect." Emily floated over behind him a moment later, balancing two champagne flutes. She stuck out a hand to me like we'd just met on neutral ground. "Hi, you must be Julia. I've heard so much." "I bet," I said. Her smile twitched, just a hair. I saw it. Out loud, I added, "Julia Ward, wife." That was the moment she blinked. "Emily," she said. "I've heard so much," I said, giving her back her own line. "About how friendly you are." Ethan made a soft warning sound in his throat. "Jules." "Oh, relax," I said lightly, patting his arm. "It's harmless. I'm not overthinking." I watched her take that in. She didn't fully understand, not yet. But she felt something shift in the air. Predators do feel temperature change, even the confident ones. By the end of the night, I had what I needed. Photos of Ethan and Emily together in a professional environment where he was supposed to be supporting his spouse. I had the message history already archived. I had a neat PDF trail sent to HR. I had our bank screenshots. I had voice memos I made in my car after talking to Ethan, recapping the conversations while they were fresh. Pro tip, record right after. Memories are flexible, audio is not. And I had something else, a new calm, humming under my skin like a steady generator. Because here is what Ethan never understood about me, not once in 7 years of marriage. I am not loud, but I do not forget. I am not cruel for sport, but when you push me into a corner, I don't come out with tears. I come out with a schedule. Tomorrow morning, I thought, sipping coffee at 1 a.m. in our flawless kitchen while Ethan snored upstairs. You're going to scream so loud the HOA will mark us non-compliant for noise. And then you're going to see what happens when the woman you counted on to keep your life smooth decides to stop cleaning up after you. You'll hear it with me soon. You'll understand why Linda won't look me in the eye anymore, why Claire doesn't wave from across Brookfield Court, why Emily Hart won't even drive down our street at night. You'll understand why Ethan Ward, model of excellence, will never again say to me, "Don't overthink." But that part started this morning, with his voice tearing through the house and my coffee tasting better than it ever has. "Julia," he yelled from upstairs, panicked and hoarse. "Julia, what did you do?" "Exactly what you taught me, sweetheart," I thought, setting my mug down and finally letting myself smile. I acted friendly. Ethan's voice still echoed faintly down the stairs. He had stopped shouting my name, which told me the email had finished loading. Good. The silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It was a held breath kind of silence, the sort you hear when an audience realizes the hero just tripped the wire. I took my time finishing the coffee, rinsed the mug, and set it upside down on the drying rack like any normal morning. The thing about revenge is, it loses its glamour if you gloat. You have to move through it like it's part of the routine. That's what makes people nervous. They can't tell where the edge is. Upstairs, drawers opened and closed. I imagined Ethan searching for something, a file maybe, a phone number that might make this all go away. Good luck finding a hotline for "My wife dismantled my image before breakfast." He appeared at the top of the stairs finally, tie half knotted, face pale and tight. He looked at me like he was trying to solve a riddle written on my forehead. "Julia, I need you to tell me the truth," he said, voice shaking. "Did you send something to HR?" I looked up from my tablet, scrolling through the banquet thank you notes. "Morning, Ethan. Coffee's still hot if you want some." His hand clenched on the railing. "Julia, please, they suspended me. Effective immediately. I can't, this isn't a joke." "Suspended," I repeated, tasting the word like it was a wine I'd been waiting to uncork. "Wow, that was fast. Usually they do a whole investigation." "Julia," he took 2 steps down. "Do you have any idea what you've done? This is my career." "Oh, I have a pretty good idea," I said. "I read the policies online last night. You know, the ones about workplace relationships and conflict of interest. You'd be surprised how clear they are once you're not laughing them off." He stared at me, color rising back into his face now that the panic had found somewhere to go. "You ruined me." I stood, smoothing my hoodie, and walked past him toward the entryway. "No, Ethan, you did that part yourself. I just hit send." His voice cracked. "Jules, we can fix this. I'll call Emily. She can say it was a misunderstanding. Just tell them you overreacted. Tell them you were upset. I turned in the doorway. "You want me to lie for you now?" He opened his mouth, then closed it again. "I'll have movers pick up a few things this afternoon," I said. "Don't worry, I'm not taking anything you can't replace." He flinched like the word replace had weight. Maybe it did. The new apartment smelled faintly of lemon cleaner and fresh paint. I'd found it 2 days earlier under the pretense of scouting venues. 1 bedroom, furnished, short lease, exactly what I needed. The landlord handed me the keys without questions. Event planners are good at sounding trustworthy. I spent the first night there unpacking essentials and building silence. No TV, no music, just the small hum of the refrigerator and the occasional car outside. You wouldn't believe how peaceful a place feels when no one's trying to talk you out of your own memory. That Friday, Linda showed up. She didn't knock politely. She knocked like a debt collector. I opened the door halfway. She was in her usual beige power coat, clutching her purse like a shield. "Julia," she said sharply, "what on earth did you do?" "Morning, Linda. Want tea?" She pushed past me. "Don't play hostess. You destroyed Ethan's reputation over a few texts. Do you know what people are saying? The firm had to issue a statement." I leaned against the counter. About workplace conduct? About you. That part made me smile. Ah, so they're calling me the problem now. Predictable. She spun on her heel. He provided everything for you. That house, that life, all of it. And you humiliate him like this because of some harmless office gossip. Harmless, I repeated softly. That's a popular word in your family. She hesitated, eyes narrowing. You think this makes you strong, don't you? Walking away like some martyr. Everyone sees through it. Claire told me you've been unstable for months. Claire talks too much, I said. She should save her energy. She'll need it later. Linda's chin lifted. I'm trying to help you. Fix this before it's too late. Too late for what? I asked. His next promotion? His image? I stepped closer until I saw her blink. You know, Linda, you should be careful choosing sides. The neighborhood loves a scandal, but it loves a fall from grace even more. Her lips tightened. You sound just like someone who stopped apologizing, I said. Yeah, I get that a lot lately. She left without another word. I watched her stride down the hall, heels sharp against the tile, posture perfect, like always. Perfect people break the loudest when they finally slip. That weekend, Claire hosted her usual driveway cookout, the unofficial social court of Brookfield Court. I wasn't invited, obviously. That was the point, but invitations don't mean much when the court is already in session. I parked 2 houses down, walked over with a plate of lemon bars, and smiled like I'd misunderstood the memo. Hope I'm not crashing. Oh, Claire said, eyes darting to Jennifer. Julia, we didn't know you were back. Briefly, I said. Thought I'd bring dessert. Ethan always loved these. A small murmur rippled through the circle. Ethan was standing by the grill, sleeves rolled up, the perfect image of a man reclaiming normal. He looked up, forced a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Hey, he said cautiously. Hey, I said back. Didn't expect to see Emily. Oh wait, she's not here, is she? Maybe next time. The air changed. Someone coughed. Tom pretended to check his phone. Ethan set down the tongs. Julia, maybe this isn't... Oh, relax. I'm not overthinking. The words landed. His expression flickered, the memory connecting. I reached into my bag and pulled out my phone. Since everyone's been wondering what happened, let's clear it up. Transparency's healthy for a community. I tapped the screen. The photo from the gala appeared. Ethan and Emily behind the floral tower, heads too close, her fingers on his tie. The neighbors leaned in. You could feel the current of gossip forming like weather. Julia, I just thought, I said sweetly, if people are going to speculate, they might as well have context. He stepped forward, voice low. That's enough. Agreed. I turned to the group. He's currently suspended for professional misconduct. Emily's taking some personal time, I hear. It's all very humane. Jennifer's eyebrows rose. Claire tried for a polite smile and failed. I'll just leave these, I said, setting the lemon bars on the table. Enjoy. Then I walked away, calm, deliberate, like a woman returning from a performance she knew she'd nailed. Behind me, voices swelled, soft, shocked, eager. Gossip has its own rhythm, and I'd just given it a new song. That night, I finished packing the last of my clothes. I didn't take everything, only what felt earned. The rest could stay with Ethan and the ghosts of our perfect house. Before leaving, I printed 2 sets of papers, one with every credit card charge linked to his client dinners, and one with our household expense sheet marked in yellow, where his spending bled into personal entertainment. Both sets went into a folder labeled For the Attorney. I left the folder on the kitchen island where the morning light would hit it first. On top, I placed my wedding band. Not for symbolism, just efficiency. As I locked the door, I glanced at the garage camera I'd installed the night before. Small, motion-triggered, tucked near the shelving where Ethan stored his tools. Perfectly legal in our jointly owned property. He'd notice it only if he looked up, which he never did. I wanted to see what happened when the house stopped being mine in name, but still carried my eyes. When I drove away, the neighborhood looked the same as always. Clean lawns, trimmed hedges, every house pretending peace. But under all that, something had shifted. People were peeking through blinds. Claire's husband stood on their porch, talking fast into his phone. The first ripples had started. Back at my apartment, I opened my laptop and logged into the HR portal with Ethan's company open on a public page. There it was. Statement regarding employee conduct. Formal, bland, unmistakable. Words like investigation, policy review, commitment to professional standards. I read it twice, then closed the tab. Satisfaction wasn't the right word. It was steadiness. The first stage was complete. In the quiet, I caught my reflection in the window. Tired, yes, but clear-eyed. I looked older, in a good way. Like someone who had finally stopped rehearsing kindness for people who mistook it for weakness. Tomorrow, I'd start planning the next event. Not a gala this time. Something smaller, more personal. Something with perfect lighting. We were about 20,000 characters into this story, give or take. If you think I'm satisfied already, sit down. The best scenes haven't even started. The first week alone was almost pleasant. The apartment stayed clean, the air light. No half-drunk glasses on counters, no shirts draped across chairs, no background hum of another person's schedule dictating mine. Freedom makes noise at first, then quiet. I still had work, and work gave rhythm to my days. The event world never stops. There's always a new donor dinner or board retreat waiting for centerpieces and menus. Clients called, oblivious to the private implosion of my life, and I preferred it that way. Professional normalcy can be armor. What I didn't expect was how fast the neighborhood gossip machine spun. By Thursday, 3 people texted, just checking in with that particular tone, polite concern soaked in curiosity. Linda had clearly been busy. She cornered me again 2 days later, this time outside the grocery store. I was loading produce into my cart when she appeared beside the apples, like an avenging angel in a beige coat. "Julia," she said, eyes sharp, "we need to talk." I sighed. "We really don't. You can't hide in that apartment forever." "I'm not hiding, I'm shopping." She lowered her voice. "You humiliated my brother in front of his entire social circle. He's barely sleeping. Do you feel better now?" I looked her straight in the eye. "Not yet." She blinked, thrown off by the honesty. "You're not the woman I thought you were." "I know," I said. "Isn't that the problem?" For a second, she didn't have a script. Linda without a script is a rare sight. She recovered quickly. "You're making things worse for yourself. People talk. You'll regret this when they turn on you." "They always do eventually," I said, pushing my cart forward. "At least now they'll have material." That afternoon, I got the email from Ethan. Subject: "Please, no greeting, no sign-off. Just, Julia, I can't do this. The firm won't reinstate me. I'm trying to fix it, but they're saying it's a compliance issue. I need you to tell them it wasn't real, that you misunderstood. You don't have to talk to me. Just send them a note. Please." I read it twice and deleted it. No reply. Let silence do the talking. 2 nights later, Brookfield Court hosted its annual Spring Block Social, the HOA's attempt to look friendly while checking who still watered their lawns. I hadn't planned to go. Then I realized how perfect it would be. Every rumor needs confirmation from the source, and I was more than happy to oblige. I parked at the end of the cul-de-sac and walked in, carrying a bowl of pasta salad, suburban camouflage. Fairy lights strung between driveways, folding tables lined with paper plates, that sweet and fake laughter people do when they know everyone's watching. Ethan stood near the grill, sleeves rolled up, trying too hard to look composed. The moment he saw me, his face drained of confidence. Conversation around us softened, even laughter dimmed. The court was ready for a show. "Julia," he said cautiously, Didn't think you'd come. Oh, I live here, I said brightly, for now. Claire materialized beside him, the human version of Switzerland. So great to see you, Julia. How are things? Balanced, I said. Yours? Her eyes darted between us. We're all just hoping you two work things out. Everyone makes mistakes, right? Sure, I said, though some of us get more creative about it. Ethan cleared his throat. Julia, can we talk privately? Absolutely, I said, stepping closer. Let's talk right here. A few heads turned. The air got heavier. You sent that message to HR, he began. You didn't have to drag everyone into it. We could have handled it quietly. You mean I could have stayed silent while you handled Emily quietly? I said. He stiffened. A few people gasped softly. Someone's kid dropped a plate. I smiled. Relax, everyone. It's just a conversation. No need to whisper. Although, since you're all here, might as well clarify. Ethan's not at the firm anymore. Policy violation. Happens. He exhaled sharply. Julia, stop. Oh, I will, I said. Right after they stop calling me unstable behind my back. Claire's husband Tom muttered, Maybe we should... No, I said pleasantly. You should hear this. It's community news. I pulled out my phone and swiped to the photo from the gala, the same one that lived rent-free in my cloud storage. Ethan and Emily, too close, too comfortable. I held it up just long enough for the nearest few to glimpse. Their faces change the way faces do when they realize gossip is truth. Julia, Ethan warned. Transparency, I said softly. You always said honesty builds trust. He stepped forward. I didn't move. Enjoy the salad, I told the crowd, and walked away through the hush, leaving Ethan standing under the fairy lights, everyone watching. By morning, half the neighborhood knew the photo existed. By afternoon, Linda's car was parked in his driveway. That night, the group chat I used to be in, Ladies of Brookfield Court, mysteriously removed me. Perfect. Let them think exile hurts me. Exile is freedom when you plan it yourself. I went back to the house Sunday evening while Ethan was at his sister's. My name was still on the deed, and I had one more task to finish. The rooms looked smaller, without the noise of us in them. I packed the last few things that mattered, my grandmother's vase, the framed photo from our first anniversary that I once thought meant something, and placed them gently in the back of my car. Then I set the little black camera in the garage, above the shelving unit where Ethan kept his tools. Motion activated, cloud synced, battery good for weeks. He wouldn't notice. He never noticed details that didn't reflect him. Before leaving, I wrote another note, short and simple, and stuck it to the fridge. House payments are due Friday. Don't be late again. Some of us still have credit scores to protect. As I locked the door, I looked back once, not with nostalgia but calculation. A stage doesn't feel empty when you know you'll use it again. Monday morning, 7 a.m. My phone buzzed, motion alert. The camera feed opened on my screen. Ethan was in the garage, pacing, talking to someone out of frame. Then Emily appeared, hair tied up, wearing a sweatshirt I recognized as one of his. She laughed, leaned against the hood of his car, and said, You really think she's done? She moved out, he said. She'll calm down. Emily snorted. You said that last week. She's harmless, he insisted. Always has been. I smiled at the word, harmless. Some men never learn. When she reached up and kissed his cheek, I ended the feed and set the phone aside. You don't have to watch every second of your own trap. You just need enough to know it's working. That night, I parked at the end of Brookfield Court again. The street looked soft under the lamplight, all quiet surfaces and hidden noise. I waited until I saw Emily's car pull into his driveway. Then I drove forward, slow, headlights washing across the front of the house like stage lights before a performance. She looked up, startled. Ethan froze beside her. I stepped out of my car. The air smelled like wet asphalt and tension. Evening, I said, voice steady. Julia, Ethan said quickly, hands half raised. This isn't what it looks like. It never is, I said. Emily, how nice to see you again. You still visiting clients after hours? Her chin lifted. I don't owe you an explanation. Maybe not, I said, walking closer, but you do owe me space. She started to reply. I didn't wait. I leaned down, dragged my house key slowly across the side of her shiny white car. One long, deliberate scrape that cut the silence in half. The sound was ugly and perfect. Julia, Ethan shouted. I straightened, pocketed the key and looked at Emily. Next time you call me soft, remember this sound. Her mouth opened, but no words came. I leaned in slightly. Stay gone from my street. Don't test me again. For a moment, no one moved. The neighborhood lights glowed quietly around us, curtain lights twinkling behind blinds as invisible spectators watched. Then I turned, got back into my car, and drove off, leaving the echo of that scrape hanging in the night. By morning, everyone knew. Someone had recorded from an upstairs window. Of course they had. Suburbia runs on surveillance and moral superiority. The clip made its way through group chats faster than any HOA announcement ever had. The comments were delicious. Did you see Julia's face? Calm as a surgeon. Ethan just stood there. Emily won't show her face at yoga again. Linda texted me at noon. Are you proud of yourself? This is harassment. I replied, no, this is cause and effect. She didn't answer. That evening, Ethan showed up at my apartment building, knocking until I opened the door. He looked exhausted, tie crooked, eyes red from lack of sleep. Julia, you have to stop, he said. You're destroying everything. I warned you, I said. You took what was mine. I'm just balancing the books. I made a mistake, he pleaded. I said something stupid. You're punishing me like a stranger. I stepped closer. You keep calling it a mistake, like you tripped over her. You had choices. Every text, every dinner, every time you looked me in the eye and lied. That's a choice. I'm just responding in kind. He swallowed. I don't even know who you are anymore. I smiled faintly. Finally. He hesitated at the door, then left, shoulders hunched. When the hallway went quiet again, I felt something shift inside me. Not triumph, not regret. Focus. There was still one more truth he hadn't faced. I just hadn't found it yet. At 40,000 characters into this story, I suppose I should warn you again. I'm not the nice one. I was never built for gentle endings. I didn't sleep that night. Not because of guilt, because of strategy. I'd crossed a line, and lines are funny things. Once you step over one, you start seeing how many more there are. I lay on the couch, the city glow seeping through the blinds, replaying Ethan's words in my head. You're punishing me like a stranger. He was right about one thing. He didn't know me. The Julia he married would have apologized for making a scene, baked apology muffins, tried to reason. That Julia was gone. The new one made lists. By morning, I had one written in neat bullet points on a yellow legal pad. 1. Confirm what Ethan's been doing with vendors. 2. Secure proof. 3. Choose public venue for confrontation. 4. Bring witnesses. I didn't know what I'd find, but something told me Ethan's cheating hadn't just been romantic. Men like him rarely betray in one dimension. At 10 a.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Julia Ward, a man's voice asked. This is Greg Turner from Turner Lighting. I straightened in my chair. Greg was one of my vendors, a decent guy who'd provided lighting setups for half my events. Hey, Greg, everything okay? He hesitated. Quick question. Did you change your billing process? Ethan emailed last month saying to route your referral fees to his personal account. Said it was easier for taxes. I let the silence stretch. My referral fees, I repeated. Yeah, Greg said, uneasy now. It's not a big deal. I just wanted to double-check before I process this next one. The deposit's already sent, so... Send me that email, I said. He paused. Is something wrong? Just a misunderstanding, I said, forcing a smile into my tone. I'll handle it. When the email arrived, my throat went tight. Ethan had used my name in the signature, Julia Ward Events, and written from an address that looked almost identical to mine. Only a single extra letter hidden in it. He'd rerouted 3 vendor payments over the past 2 months. Not enough to make headlines, but enough to insult me. So that was it. He hadn't just betrayed me emotionally. He'd stolen from the professional life I built while pretending to support me. The company dinners, the networking, the schmoozing. They weren't just about Emily. They were about him playing businessman behind my name. I stared at the screen, a slow, deliberate calm taking over. The affair was humiliation. This was theft. Step 1, confirmed. I spent the afternoon assembling a presentation. Not a dramatic slideshow, just printed emails, receipts, and vendor statements, neatly bound. Years of managing donors and investors had taught me that paperwork beats outrage every time. People don't listen to emotions. They listen to formatting. That evening, I called Melissa from Riverside Catering. Hey, I said casually. Quick check. Did Ethan ever contact you about payment terms? She paused. Oh, he did actually. Said he was helping streamline your business side. Is that not true? It's a work in progress, I said smoothly. Can you meet tomorrow? I'm reorganizing vendor contracts. She agreed. Another puzzle piece clicked into place. By midnight, my plan had shape. 1 room, several witnesses. Ethan, walking into his own undoing, believing he could still charm his way out. The next day, I booked a private meeting room at the country club, same one that had hosted the charity gala, the one where he and Emily first got sloppy. I sent invitations to 5 people: Greg, Melissa, the club's event coordinator, 1 long-term client, and Ethan himself. Ethan's invite read, urgent client issue, potential reputational risk. Meeting tomorrow, 6 p.m., Ballroom B. Please attend. He'd never ignore the words reputational risk. His ego wouldn't let him. When the time came, the ballroom was set exactly how I wanted it: soft lighting, clean white tablecloths, a long table facing the projection screen. The kind of sterile professionalism that makes people nervous because it promises truth in bullet points. The first few guests arrived, polite but curious. Ethan came in last, face tight but confident. He still thought he could control the narrative. Julia, he said cautiously, what's going on? Have a seat, I said. This won't take long. He glanced around, recognizing the faces. Why are my vendors here? They're my vendors, I corrected, and they're here because you used my business name to redirect payments. We're going to clear that up. A flicker of panic flashed behind his calm mask. What are you talking about? I clicked the projector remote. The first email appeared on the screen. His fake address, his words. The room went still. Melissa frowned. Ethan, this came from you. This is a misunderstanding, he stammered. Julia, you're twisting things. Really? I turned to Greg. Read the account number he gave you. Greg read it out loud. I handed over a printout of Ethan's personal bank info, courtesy of a joint statement I still had access to. The numbers matched. Ethan's jaw tightened. You had no right. I had every right, I said evenly. You used my brand, my contacts, my reputation. You told people I was your pretty front while you handled the real business. You didn't just cheat on me, Ethan. You stole from me. The words hit harder than any scream could have. Even the air felt heavier. Julia, he began softly, we can talk about this privately. No, I said. We'll talk here, publicly, with witnesses. He looked around, realizing the circle was closing. The vendors' faces shifted, from confusion to comprehension to quiet disgust. His reputation was dissolving right there on polished marble floors. I slid a folder across the table toward him. That's a draft acknowledgement letter. It states you misrepresented yourself in business matters and that you'll refrain from using my name or contacts moving forward. You sign it, this ends clean. Refuse, and I forward all of this to your firm's compliance department and every client you've ever approached under my name. He stared at the folder like it was an unexploded bomb. You can't. I already did, I said. This is mercy. For a long moment, he didn't move. Then his hand shook slightly as he opened the folder and scanned the document. You could almost see the calculation in his eyes, the risk of fighting me versus the humiliation of surrender. He signed. The pen left a neat blue line, steady enough to hide the tremor in his hand. I gathered the papers, slid them into my bag, and said, "Meeting adjourned." As people filed out, Melissa leaned close and whispered, "Good for you." I smiled faintly. "It's just business." Ethan lingered. "You've made your point," he said quietly. "What else do you want from me?" "You'll find out soon enough," I said. "Check your messages tonight." He frowned. "Julia." "Good evening," I said, and walked out. And, back in my car, I typed a single text into our old neighborhood group chat. "Everyone meet at my house tomorrow at 9 p.m. Bring Ethan." I added Linda, Claire, Tom, Jennifer, and Daniel. The message lit up with question marks. I didn't answer. The stage was set for the finale. Driving home, I caught my reflection in the windshield. Tired, yes, but alive in a way I hadn't been in years. For so long, I'd been the woman smoothing tablecloths and swallowing irritation while other people took the credit. Now I was the director. Tomorrow night, I'd give them the closing act they didn't know they'd bought tickets for. At around 40,000 characters into this story, give or take, I can say it out loud now, Ethan thought he was the storm. He never noticed I was the quiet pressure building before it. The next day felt like the air before a thunderstorm, still, charged, ready to break. I spent the morning arranging every detail of the neighborhood meeting. No one refused. Curiosity is stronger than loyalty in suburbia. By afternoon, the messages had multiplied. Claire. "Wait, what's this about? Is it safe to bring wine?" Linda. "Julia, if this is another public stunt." Jennifer. "Do we need to dress up?" I didn't answer any of them. Let them come dressed for whatever they thought they were walking into. Anticipation was the first act of control. At 8:30, I arrived at the house. My name was still on the deed, my key still fit. The familiar creak of the entryway echoed like a memory I didn't care to revisit. Ethan's car was in the driveway. The lights inside glowed warm and calm, like a family portrait pretending not to crack. He opened the door before I knocked. His expression was guarded, the kind you wear when you suspect you're walking into a trap, but still hope for peace. "What is this?" he asked. "Closure," I said simply, stepping past him. The living room was spotless, like he'd cleaned to prove a point. The couch cushions were perfectly aligned, the table gleaming. Even the air smelled neutral. No cologne, no evidence of another person. He'd staged his innocence. "I invited everyone," I said, turning in a slow circle. "The neighbors, Linda, your closest defenders. You said I ruined your reputation. Tonight you'll have a chance to set it straight." His eyes widened. "You're kidding." "I never kid about events," I said. "Ask anyone." He exhaled hard. "Julia, you can't keep turning our lives into some production." "Our lives were your production," I replied. "I'm just rewriting the final act." By 9 sharp, cars began lining the street. The familiar hum of gossip filled the front yard before the doorbell even rang. When I opened the door, there they were. Claire clutching a bottle of rosé, Jennifer behind her with an expectant smile, Tom hovering like he'd been dragged along, and Linda, her face carved into disapproval. "Julia," she said immediately, "this isn't appropriate." "Neither was your brother's behavior," I said pleasantly. "Come in." They filed in, drawn by curiosity they'd never admit to. Ethan stood frozen near the staircase, pale and silent. I gestured toward the seating area. "Make yourselves comfortable. You'll want to see this." The projector was already set up, casting a soft rectangle of light on the wall. I connected my tablet. A muted hum filled the room as the video feed began. The first image was the garage. Time-stamped, crystal clear. Ethan pacing, Emily leaning against his car, the two of them laughing. Their voices were audible through the small speaker. "You really think she's done? She moved out. She'll calm down." "You said that last week. She's harmless." The word hung in the air, echoing. Ethan lunged for the remote, but I was faster. "Don't," I said sharply. "Let them see." Claire's eyes widened. Jennifer gasped softly. Linda's lips parted in horror as her brother's voice filled the room again, smug, careless, confident. When the clip ended, the silence was thick enough to touch. Linda turned to him, voice trembling. "Ethan, please tell me this isn't what it looks like." He swallowed. "It's taken out of context." "Context?" Claire said, half laughing, half stunned. "You called your wife harmless while sneaking around with your coworker. That's the context." I let the room churn for a moment before speaking. "He told everyone I overreacted," I said softly. "Said I was unstable. Said Emily was just friendly." "Now you all know what friendly looks like." Ethan's voice cracked. "Julia, stop this." "Stop?" I turned on him, sharp now. "You paraded your lies through my home, my friends, my work. You stole my clients. You used my name to build your image. And when I finally fought back, you called me unstable. You made me the villain so you could stay the hero. Tell me, Ethan, how's that working out?" He flinched, glancing toward Linda, toward anyone who might still defend him. No one spoke. The silence broke when Claire whispered, "You know what's funny? I used to think you two were perfect." "Perfection's easy when one person is doing all the pretending," I said. Linda stood abruptly. This is private. You shouldn't be airing it here." "Wrong," I said, stepping forward. "It became public the moment your brother decided appearances were more important than honesty. I'm just closing the loop." I walked over to the projector, clicked to the next slide. A photo appeared. Ethan's signature on the admission letter from the previous day's meeting, neatly scanned and dated. "This," I said, "is what accountability looks like." He signed it himself, acknowledged everything. Gasps rippled again. Ethan's head dropped into his hands. "You forged that," he muttered weakly. "Try me," I said. The weight of the evening settled over the room like a held breath. Finally, Linda straightened her purse strap, muttering, "We're leaving." No one stopped her. The others followed, each one avoiding Ethan's eyes on their way out. When the door closed, only the sound of the projector fan remained. Ethan stood, trembling slightly. "You've ruined me." I shook my head. "You ruined yourself. I just made sure no one could pretend otherwise." He stared at me, voice breaking. "Why couldn't you just let it go?" "Because," I said, stepping closer, "you built a whole world out of lies and then asked me to keep living in it. I just turned on the lights." He didn't respond. There was nothing left to defend. I packed up the projector, coiling the cord neatly. "This was the last show," I said quietly. "You won't hear from me again, not unless you try to twist this story." He laughed once, hollow. "You think people will forgive you for this?" "I don't need forgiveness," I said. "I need peace." With that, I walked to the door. Outside, the night air hit cool and clean against my face. The street was silent except for the hum of porch lights. Behind curtains, I saw the faintest movements, neighbors pretending not to watch, but absolutely watching. Perfect. Let them see. Let them whisper. I got in my car, turned the engine, and glanced once in the rearview mirror. Through the living room window, Ethan stood frozen, the glow from the projector still washing over him like an interrogation lamp. For the first time since everything began, I felt still. Not victorious. Just finished. As I drove away, A single thought settled, calm and certain. Revenge isn't rage, it's order restored. And with that, the story ended exactly where it should, on the high peak, before the curtain could ever fall. The street was quiet the next morning, but not peaceful. Quiet in that careful way when a community's pretending nothing happened while dissecting every second of it behind closed doors. I woke before sunrise, not out of restlessness but habit. My mind felt strangely clean, like I'd finally shut down a machine that had been humming too long. The apartment looked exactly as I'd left it, neat, sparse, temporary. My things were packed again, boxes labeled in my handwriting. I'd made the decision the night before. Leave Brookfield Court, leave the whispers, leave the wreckage neatly framed in my rearview mirror. I didn't want to haunt the neighborhood where everyone had picked a side. Let them build new gossip without me. I made coffee and opened my laptop. My inbox was a battlefield of unread messages. Reporters sniffing around about allegations involving a former financial consultant, HR follow-ups, even a polite inquiry from the local homeowners association asking whether last night's incident required their mediation. I deleted them all. Then I opened one final message from Ethan, sent at 2:17 a.m. Julia, you win. I'm done fighting. I don't even know what to do with myself anymore. I'll be leaving the firm permanently. Maybe the city. You'll never hear from me again. You got what you wanted. Congratulations. No apology. No reflection. Just surrender disguised as martyrdom. Typical. I stared at the screen for a long time before closing the laptop. Winning had never been the goal. Truth was, and now it existed in daylight, unarguable. By noon, I drove back to Brookfield Court one last time. I wanted to see it. The stage after the show, the set after the audience left. The houses stood still under an overcast sky, every lawn trimmed to perfection, the smell of fertilizer masking decay. Ethan's car was gone from the driveway. The blinds in the living room were drawn. For a moment, I almost pitied him. Almost. But pity requires innocence, and Ethan had long since traded that for charm. I parked across from the house and watched for a few minutes. A curtain shifted next door. Someone was definitely watching me. Fine. Let them think I was here to gloat or grieve. The truth was simpler. I was here to close the circle. I got out, walked up the path, and slid my key, still mine by law, into the lock. The door opened with that same soft click I'd always loved. Inside, the house smelled like lemon cleaner again, but beneath it was something else. Emptiness. The kind that hums in rooms stripped of secrets. The projector screen still stood in the living room, folded against the wall. I ran my hand over the fabric, remembering the way the neighbors' faces had reflected in its light. Disbelief, realization, the small thrill of shared scandal. They'd probably replay that night for years, the way people do when they secretly enjoy watching someone fall. On the coffee table, a single envelope waited, my name in Ethan's handwriting. I hesitated, then opened it. Inside was a check, half the value of our joint account, and a note on plain white paper. For what I owe you. Don't contact me. I laughed softly, practical to the end. Even in defeat, Ethan had to make it transactional. I folded the check into my wallet. Closure, courtesy of a man who never understood what it meant. On my way out, I paused in the doorway, taking one last look. The same couch where we'd argued, the kitchen counter where I'd once planned galas and dinners while he lied about meetings. Every inch of it familiar and false. Then something caught my eye. A faint reflection on the patio door, movement near the side gate. Instinct made me freeze. A shadow flickered, then disappeared. I stepped outside. It was Emily. Her hair was pulled into a loose ponytail, her eyes ringed with exhaustion. She stood by the gate like someone rehearsing courage. "Julia," she said quietly, "can we talk?" I tilted my head. Surprised to see you back here. I had to, she said. I didn't know what he told you. I didn't even know. I cut her off. You knew exactly what you were doing. Don't rewrite it now. Her lips trembled. He told me you were distant, that the marriage was over. I believed him. That's convenient, I said. I'm sorry, she whispered. I lost my job. Everyone's blaming me. I just wanted you to know I didn't mean for any of this. The apology didn't move me. It wasn't remorse. It was damage control. You didn't mean for it to cost you this much, I said. That's what you're sorry about. She looked like she might cry, but I didn't care. Tears weren't currency here. Please, she said, just tell people I wasn't the only one at fault. Oh, I already did, I said. They know exactly what kind of man Ethan is, and exactly what kind of woman helped him hide it. Her eyes hardened. You think you won, don't you? I smiled faintly. No, I think I ended the game. She stepped closer, anger breaking through the exhaustion. You humiliated everyone. You think people will ever trust you again after this? I'm not looking for trust, I said. I'm looking for peace. She shook her head. You're worse than he said. Probably, I said, but at least I'm honest about it. For a second, she seemed like she might slap me. Then she turned and walked away fast, shoulders stiff, almost running by the time she reached her car. I watched her go, calm and certain. There were no more players left on the board. The wind picked up, brushing through the hedges Ethan had once trimmed obsessively. I walked back to my car, slid into the driver's seat, and sat there for a moment watching the clouds roll in. Somewhere down the street, a door slammed, followed by the faint murmur of voices. The neighborhood was alive again, hungry for the next story. But this time, I wasn't part of it. I turned on the ignition. The radio came alive mid-song, some upbeat pop tune that didn't fit the mood at all. I let it play anyway. As I pulled away from Brookfield Court for the last time, the houses blurred in the side mirror. Perfect lawns, perfect facades, everyone hiding something. Maybe that's all revenge really does. Peel the paint so people can see the rot underneath. I didn't feel lighter. I didn't feel vindicated. I felt steady. That was enough. Halfway down the road, my phone buzzed. A new message from an unknown number. You made your point. She's gone. I'm leaving too. Take care of yourself, Jules. No signature. I didn't need one. I deleted it without opening the thread, rolled down the window, and let the wind fill the car. The world beyond Brookfield opened up wide and ordinary. Gas stations, open sky, a billboard for a real estate company promising new beginnings. The irony almost made me laugh. I wasn't driving toward a beginning. I was driving toward silence, toward a version of myself that didn't have to perform forgiveness or composure anymore. Revenge wasn't supposed to fix anything. It wasn't supposed to heal. It was supposed to even the scales, just long enough for me to walk away without looking back. And as the road curved out of the suburbs and the houses disappeared from the mirror, I realized I'd done exactly that.